Line screwing around. There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
I was not screwing around. I was working.
You were sitting there listening to Ann Meyer. You call that work?
I was not listening to just Ann Meyer.
Oh, you were listening to other people.
There was many people there.
Were you having a couple of beers and like a half a pizza?
No, we were not. But I like pizza and beer. Smarty pants.
I do too. I love beer a little bit too much, so I had to give it up. It didn't take me long to get that addiction thing in there, did it? So
you tend to migrate that way.
well, that's I like to hold myself up as an example because I'll tell you what, a lot of people have said this over. Well, that's right. I do. I don't know what I'm denying that now. When did that happen?
Yeah.
But a lot of people have said over the years, if that guy can do it, I can do it. And that's exactly right, because nobody expected me to come back from the cliff I was going over. So it was if a guy like me can do it. Yeah, get over yourselves, and you can do that too if you do have an addiction problem. Anyway, I've done enough of that. So Ann Meyer was over with the Growth Alliance, and she
had a very large group.
Good for her.
In the community room, talking about adult daycare and
What, for guys like me, or?
Well, adult daycare is a unique thing. So it's not just based on age.
Okay.
Also on need. And we have a demographic of people with special needs that need socialization. They need places to go. They're safe.
Oh, you're talking about special needs people.
Well, and adult daycare also can be for elderly that have not moved to a care facility, but still live with like their children or something, and the children are working, so they would go to adult daycare during the day, so that they would have some care, lunches provided.
That's big.
Activities, things like that, versus them having to live in a home. So there's different reasons for adult daycare. But one of the big issues right now is we have a large demographic of people with special needs that used adult daycare. Parents used it when kids got out of school, so they could stay at work. Once kids were too old to go to school, they would use adult daycare as a place to go certain days of the week, and some days they might go to LifeWorks or they might go somewhere else. One Vision is another one that provides services, and they would do job training or skill building or different things, just different things to provide service.
That sounds outstanding.
It is, but there's a shortage now through COVID. We lost the adult daycare we had here. It didn't reopen. One of the big hurdles is staffing, getting the workforce back to work that provides these kinds of services, whether it's in adult daycare or LifeWorks or others. So, there's first an issue with workforce shortage. Then there's issues with private pay versus Medicare qualified, the ability to provide the service levels as required through federal guidelines. So it's a big, complex issue. So I was lucky enough to be invited and attended.
Well, you're the mayor. Come on, man.
Well, yeah. But, it's one of those things. I until I was the mayor, I would not have understood or known the need for a lot of those services.
That's true.
So, it's one thing I've gotten to learn over many years as mayor, 12. There's a lot of things that are going on in our community right in front of us that we don't realize.
That is really the truth. Yeah.
We live our lives. Our kids go to school, and we go to work, and we go shopping, and we do activities and things. But there's all kinds of other things that are going on around us that sometimes we're just not ignorant to, but we're just oblivious to.
Yeah. Well, we're caught up in our own lives. That's understandable.
We're doing our own things, and we may not be aware. So, as I've been there over the number of years, I've gotten exposure to a lot of these facilities, different, whether it's adult daycare or it can even be youth service programs, things like that other people may have never gotten exposed to. It really kind of shines a light on how diverse our community is, and the different kinds of needs that are out there that we may not be aware of.
I'm glad we're moving in this direction because I've thought about this over the years. I mean, here in Iowa and in Fort Dodge, frankly, probably with the exception of the college towns, we got a lot of older people.
We do have an older population.
And and they need attention of some sort other than, God bless our care centers, but there's a tendency to put people in a chair and set them over by the window.
You have different demographics within your senior population. You have
That's right.
Active seniors that are still out doing all their own things, and they may live in an apartment that's adjacent to a facility like that. And then you have people that mom and dad still live at home with one of the children, or maybe one of the spouses is had medical problems and can't work, and the other one is still working, and they need a place to be able to go during the day that is safe and provide some service for them, food, make sure they're taken care of, give them activities to do, and that's really tough to fill that specific need unless you're wealthy. That would be tough to pay for.
Yes.
To bring someone into your home to provide that service. So a lot of times people actually can get left at home, and people lose their employment because hey, I got to run home because I got to take care of my husband or my grandmother.
That's right.
And then employers say, well, you're having a tough time making it to work, and you're having issues, and they hire somebody else, and next thing you know, hey, we're cutting your position.
Sure.
So, I'm using just generic examples.
Right.
Talking specifically about anyone, but there's a lot of challenges, and to sit in a room like I did today and hear them, it really motivates me to say, hey, what small role can I play? Can I be somebody that just supports this? Can I be somebody that helps come up with ideas to fill some things? One idea we kind of tossed around that I threw on the table today was, there's these jobs that they were talking about. There's a shortage of people entering the profession to provide service. I said, let's start a community marketing plan where we get out and do social media and different things and say, hey, looking for employment, want to do something very rewarding. Here's some employment opportunities that maybe you weren't aware of, and get testimonies from people who have worked with people with special needs, or
Right.
adult daycare, or worked as a paraeducator with the schools, and say, hey, tell us about the rewarding career that you chose, and how you created connections in your life. And we market that, hey, there might be an employment opportunity. Maybe there's somebody at home that wants to work but doesn't know exactly what they want to do. This would catch their eye and say, hey, you know what? I think that might be kind of fun to do that. I think that might be a rewarding career for me. Some people are looking for work that is rewarding, not just profitable. So, there's some ideas of things we can maybe do with that. And, I heard a lot of other good information. It doesn't seem like it's something that we're going to solve quickly. There was a Supreme Court ruling, federal Supreme Court ruling, that they explained today that I had not heard of. I believe it was called the Olmstead ruling, that has to create equality across people with special needs in our community and everybody else. You can't isolate or compartmentalize people with special needs.
Right.
In other words, you can't just stick them in a building and say, this is where you go and you just stay there. We've got to create access for opportunity, access for creative, and not partially, but fully socialized within our community. So they would be working where you check out your groceries at Fairway, or they could be somebody that's working here at the radio station, helping do chores here, or different things.
Helping me get up and out of the chair. Yeah.
But it's tough for the employers of it. So you have a workforce trainer that works with people with special needs, that's trying to help them integrate into a job. It's hard to find the people that want to take those jobs and help people learn skills to then take a position somewhere where, let's say it's bagging groceries. It's tough to find those people. And then it's tough to find people to provide that daycare, that adult daycare service.
Sure.
So, and we haven't hit the financial issue of it yet, but first and foremost, it sounded to me like that was the biggest challenge, was filling those jobs.
Well, we're going to go to a break here in just a minute. Then we're going to come back and talk about one of the greatest controversies of our time. John Lester gets traded to the Cardinals. What is that? My God.
That was a complete 180.
Divine
Whoops,
Intervention
what
is
is this,
online
Leon?
at
Yeah, I guess so.
yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at jmike1400.
All right, 428. We'll be back after the news.
So then I dropped some garlic and cloves on there, and the rest is salad history. I made the best salad ever, people, and now I'm making the best app. The Caesar Sportsbook app got live in-game betting, parlays, and Caesar rewards. Caesar salad ain't got nothing on my app. Nothing.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF. Download the Caesar Sportsbook app. Your app is ready, Emperor.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. Unity Point Health announced Thursday it will require its over 33,000 team members to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Unity Point Health President and CEO Clay Holderman said, quote, "We remain incredibly grateful to our healthcare providers who have seen the devastation of COVID-19 up close and personal over the past 18 months. After thoughtful consideration, we believe this vaccination requirement will help keep our team members, patients, and community as healthy as possible," end quote. Unity Point Health will require all employed team members, regardless of whether they provide direct patient care or not, be fully vaccinated by November 1st. Team members can request an exemption for medical or religious reasons, which is consistent with the health system's practice for other required vaccines. Also, while pregnant team members will be strongly encouraged to be vaccinated, a temporary deferral will be available. A press release from Unity Point Health says that team members who choose not to become vaccinated will be subject to voluntary resignation or termination. The Fort Dodge Messenger is reporting that a Webster County man is facing charges after he allegedly fondled a child. The Messenger's report says that 31-year-old Hector Perez of Fort Dodge was arrested earlier this week on a charge of second-degree sex abuse. The victim in the case is an 11-year-old girl. The criminal complaint says that Perez touched the girl's chest and genital area. Perez is set to appear in court for a preliminary hearing next Friday. The City of Fort Dodge Public Works Department announced that after a water main break and loss of pressure on Wednesday, a boil water advisory has been issued for some residents. The advisory is for customers on North 7th Street, north of Loomis Park, including Miller Drive and 28th Avenue North. The city says that customers in other areas of town are not affected and do not need to boil their water. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up a dime at 5.55 3/4. December up 6 1/4 at 5.53. March up 6 cents at 5.61, and May closed up 5 3/4 at 5.65 3/4. August soybeans down a penny at 14.02 1/2.
There we go. There he is.
Yep, there I
So
am.
go to my Facebook page or Alpha Media website, all those things, and you'll see Mayor Bemrick there. We moved the camera a little bit, so maybe you can see my guests a little bit. In this case, it seems to be working out all right. That change happened while I was on the air, so I was really dancing.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
I can multitask. Anyway,
Yeah,
back to
right.
back to the terrible John Lester situation. No, I don't want to talk about it. I'll start crying. I've been in shock for a week, for God's sake. That sound the adult daycare thing sounds like a great idea. Who's going to pay for it? You know how the Republicans are.
Well, I mean, there's already a system for Medicare. There's private pay, of course, and then there's some philanthropy out there. But it's usually specific and poignant to certain daycares or certain programs. I mean, we'll look for whatever opportunities we can to help, or the city give any support we can. I mean, we don't have levying authority to provide that kind of service. It's not really typically a city paid for service. Public health might have ways to do different things, and I'm not saying public health has money. I'm saying public health may be able to help connect people to service, things like that. There's a lot of weird terminology when it comes to providing these services, lots of acronyms, and I know how you love acronyms.
I love them.
So I heard about 15 different ones that I'm going to need to ask some more questions about to understand exactly what they are.
You know who really is sexually attracted to acronyms? Denny Plotz. He loves them.
He's got a lot of them. You know, he comes from a background that acronyms are used all the time. I mean, in planning and economic development, city development, acronyms are very heavily used.
Yeah.
Grant systems use a lot of acronyms. So I've been around a while, but nobody can know all the acronyms. So I heard a few today that I'm going to have to ask some questions about to understand what they meant. Because by no means attending this meeting made me in any way, shape, or form an expert in anything. It helped inform me of a issue that I already knew was out there, and it helped get me a little more informed, a little more educated about it. And I'll see where I can give input and hopefully help connect people to people and see what the city's involvement could potentially be or possibly be if we can do anything at all.
I should get Rob Jones to report on Denny's attraction to acronyms. That Southern voice is, Dennis Plotz is reported to be sexually attracted to acronyms. I was talking about with Rob about that the other day. When he says sexually, it sounds more obscene than anybody. And then when we say it, I went, sexually? My God.
Okay. As you can tell, Mike did not take his meds today.
I took several of them. I may have had a relapse.
All right.
Well, no, that's great news for our town. I'm not trying to be
I gotta applaud Ann, Representative Ann Myers. She it's a very challenging and can be controversial and very sensitive issue, and she's really kind of taken it head on and said, hey, I'm going to try to get the right people in the room to ask the right questions, connect the right people to the right issue, to help solve the issues. And we talked about the different challenges today, and it's a matter of identifying those challenges and seeing what we can do either as a community or working with state or federal organizations to overcome the challenges as we continue forward. And it's not something that's going to get solved quickly, which is really tough for the families that were sitting in that room today that have a big void in their lives right now. So
and Ann is a nurse.
She's very passionate about healthcare and
she
providing
feels
service.
That. She feels that wants to do something about it.
Yeah. She was, I could sense it. You can always hear Ann's passion when she's talking.
And I think for no longer than she's been in Des Moines, I think she's respected down there.
I think she's done a fine job
because she is thoughtful. Yes. And
she is very thoughtful. You can almost, when you hear someone talk about their story or their plight with something, which we heard a few today, you could see it really wear on her.
Yeah,
personally, you can tell her that she's taking that and thinking, oh God, I just want to do something right now to help you. And that's the challenge when you're in elected positions, whether it be the mayor or a supervisor or a state official. We can't solve things just in the immediate. It usually takes time, process, changes of law, funding, all those different things. And it's tough to look someone in the eyes and say, I know I hear what you're saying, but I don't have an answer today. Because a lot of times people, they want that answer.
Yeah.
They want it today.
Yeah.
And it's tough to tell them you don't have it.
Yeah, that's right. But no, I have a great amount of respect for Anna and her husband, Jim. I think it was great that we elected her. I do. And I continue to have a great amount of respect for her predecessor, Helen Miller.
Absolutely.
Helen and Ann see things a little differently, but I saw things quite a bit differently than Helen Miller, but I agreed.
I think both Helen and Ann have tendencies to be very moderate and kind of in the middle
and try to work together.
That's often, I've been around enough now to see different people elected in different positions, kind of within our region, and our region tends to be more conservative, but they'll support people that are moderate because they see perspective.
Because moderate people can get things done.
Most people want to get things done,
Mm-hmm.
and that's I think what people really look for in the people we elect here is that person actually going to do something or not, or do they just want a title?
Yeah.
We've all seen different people get elected in positions that were simply seeking the notoriety of it. And they often don't last very long.
Yeah. Sometimes they're
because people in this community see through that rather quickly.
Sometimes they stay in office forever. But I'm not going to mention any names. But
are you going to pick on me now?
No. But speaking of doing something,
get something done, remember?
You've opened the door.
What are you
going to do besides have beer and pizza? Okay, so
last night I was changing faucets. Me and a buddy, I had one of those bathroom like water faucet, just boom, and it's spraying water everywhere, and it was a big mess. So last night I was you had an electrician trying to be a plumber, which is never good.
Oh, the two trades don't.
They do not really cross very well. You're either good at one or the other. You don't find too many people that are really good at both of them.
I had a friend that was an electrician. I mentioned to him before, and my job was to run around after he'd done most of the work, is to put the outlets, in the wall. So I got over in the corner where an outlet was one time, and I don't know how I did it, but I got my screwdriver in the wrong place. My elbows banged against the wall real fast. I got a
little tickle, did you?
I got a tickle, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, he was in the other room and heard it and laughed like hell. But
that's not a bad tickle.
He was unfeeling.
I got hit when I was probably only like 27, 28 years old. I got hit on an emergency circuit. I was working in a hospital, and I was up in a ceiling. I got hit by a 277 volt emergency circuit, lighting circuit, and the neutral opened up, and I got hit by it. I went backwards through the ceiling, took out some ductwork and probably about a 15 foot section of ceiling.
Yikes!
Landed flat on my back, and I was out cold. I mean, it knocked me out.
Wow.
And they took me to the emergency room, and my heart had skipped.
I bet
a couple of beats and was all out of rhythm. So they put me on all the monitors and stuff and thought, well, we might have to restart you to get your heart back in rhythm. And it took about 6-8 hours, and then it started beating the correct way.
You were
supposed
young.
to. And luckily I was young, and I was in a lot better shape than I am now. But it was probably about 20 years ago. And that the little tickle on an outlet's one thing, but when you get walloped like that, you tend to learn to be way safer because you don't ever want to feel that again.
So how long was it? How many years after that happened did you finally tell your mother?
Oh no, she knew because I was in a hospital when this happened.
Sure.
So I suppose if you're going to do it, that was probably
the place to do it. Yeah,
because there was doctors and nurses right there, and
right on the scene.
They called the whatever code or something, some kind of code. And next thing you know, there's EMTs in the hallway, and they put me on a gurney, and I was kind of coming to a little bit like, wow, what happened? What how did I get here? And I was covered in drywall and ceiling tile, And I'm like, what happened?
That's
And they're
really
like,
not a laughing matter. You laugh about it now.
and they're like, we don't know. You were in the ceiling, and then you were on the floor, and the ceiling was with you on the floor. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And I was out of it for probably about an hour. So they, of course, called my wife, and my wife calls my mom and my dad and everybody. And they all come out there and they're like, what'd you do? And I'm like, I honestly don't know. So then my dad, of course, being an electrician himself, he goes up to see what happened. And he found that neutral on that circuit had, when I'd taken the wire nut connection off it had sprung open. So somebody that had been there before me didn't twist the wires in.
Mhm.
And when it sprung open, it must have hit something that I was grounded to, and it boom. And it shocked the holy crap out of me.
Well, that's, again, I'm glad we can laugh
Yeah.
about it now, but yeah, I'm sure it wasn't a laughing matter. At
Yeah,
the
when your
time.
wife gets that kind of phone call, like, hey, you need to come to the emergency, she came in with the tears like, oh my God, is he going to die? But no, it was a weird little thing though. It took it like I say, it was 6-8 hours of my heart just would not beat correctly.
Yeah.
It was like skipping beats, and then it'd beat really fast erratically, and then it would, I don't know, it was all over the place.
In 1996, I dropped my son off at the school over here. It was Phillips Middle School, I guess, at the time. And then I proceeded south here on 10th Street. And I went down to First Avenue South. There was a stoplight there once at that time. And when the light turned, I kind of went into the intersection, kind of a rolling stop sort of thing. Well, this girl hit me broadside, and she was doing way over the speed limit and tipped the car up on its side. And I was pinned inside the car, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. The weather was, that was fun. And guys were trying to get me out, and I was laying on a pile of glass. And that was nasty business. Finally, the ambulance people came and got me out through the side door. But they called my wife that day. Yeah, he's been in a car accident, but I come to the
Emergency room.
Yeah, she didn't know how bad.
Well, they don't really give them a lot of details. They just say, "Hey, you need to get here." And
the worst is when my son was in Iraq, and he called me from Iraq, and he said, "Dad, I just want to tell you that I was in a truck today, and an IED went off under the truck. Now I got some shrapnel in me.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, middle of the night, 2:30 in the morning. Your kids overseas.
Such a
God, about had a heart
cannot
attack.
imagine that call.
And I had just watched on the news all these IEDs blowing up American trucks and tanks. And then the phone goes off in my dead of the night, and I pick up the phone. It's him. He said, "I'm okay, Dad. I got this shrapnel, but I'll be off duty for a week or two, but I'll be fine. And I just wanted to call and tell you because about 7 in the morning, a Marine Corps major is going to call you and tell you nothing other than I've been wounded. He's not going to tell you how bad you're wounded or even what happened. He's just going to tell you that." Mm-hmm. And he said, "I know you, Dad. You're going to get in your car, go down to Des Moines, kick every door in the Veterans Administration open
until you find out.
Until you find out." I said, I don't want you doing that. That's why I'm calling you. So, and he was 100% right. I would have lost. I would have totally lost.
Speaking of veterans, I got to go out to Veterans Park yesterday. Dr. Terry Minke hosted some representatives from CJ.
That's right.
And CJ donated $30,000 to the Brushy Creek area honor flight.
That's terrific.
Yesterday. So they got an honor flight coming up on I believe it's 28th of August. I think this will be their 20th is what they were mentioning. And it's just great to see that continuing to go. And I think they mentioned yesterday they were shooting to do 2 honor flights next year in 2022. So it's great to hear our honor flights are back on and still taking veterans out to Washington, D.C.
I'm going at the end of the month.
It's awesome to hear.
It's great
that CJ Bio continues to support that program and in the Brushy Creek honor flight.
Hats off.
Thank
to Ron
you to
Newsom.
CJ.
Yeah. Thank you to CJ, and thanks to Ron Newsom, the late Dan Payne, Mill Schroeder, Charlie Walker. A lot of people.
A lot of good guys worked very hard to make that happen
for years,
and they have never taken one penny of that money for themselves.
No,
not one.
I went once.
They don't get paid. They don't take any money out of it. They provide and raise that money. It's all philanthropy. There's no government money going in there. And they've raised over, what did they say? I think they said it was $2 million worth of private donations to facilitate the 20 flights that they've provided to date. And they've got 2 planned for next year.
Yeah, I got a note, a text from Mel just the other day. It seems, Mike, we would like you to go, but you got to come over and apply. I didn't know I had to apply. I had applied by email. I said, I got an email that said, "Are you going to go, or we have seats available or something?" I said, "Yeah, I do. I have to make an official application or something, so I'll go over and get that done." The time I went before, we took off here like, I don't know, 6 a.m. from Fort Dodge Airport. Went to Washington D.C. Very busy day. Very. Mr. Decker was alive at that time. What Don's dad, Dale Decker, and somehow it came out. I don't remember that he had been a Marine during an invasion of one of the islands, and he'd been wounded. And they came along. His fellow Marines came along, found a pallet, put him on it, and took him out to the ocean and shoved him in the direction of the ship.
Oh my goodness!
And he just described it very matter of factly. And obviously he was picked up. They had crews expecting casualties. He was picked up, but he said when that story came out, I said, "I'm not looking for any accolade here. I didn't do anything different than anybody else did." I thought, all you guys thought that way. Every single Greatest Generation for sure. I guess they were white supremacists. But anyway,
you ruined a perfectly good moment we were having.
No, I didn't. I thought
you did. You just did. I thought it was we were having a great conversation. You got to throw some weird thing at the end. Can't you just finish with, and that's all I got to say about it.
I've got to take shots, man. How many years have you known me?
12. And it's not getting easier. I'm telling you that.
Come on, man. I'm a big Bemrick booster. Woe to you who want to run against Matt Bemrick. I'll tell you, you're going to be in big trouble, buddy. I understand the evil Chip Baltimore. And I like Chip, but he's evil. He's a good guy. He's a former state representative from Boone.
Mm-hmm.
He's an attorney, and he is a lobbyist for the Taxpayer Protection Group, which is really just a MediaCom. And he's bugging us now to provide, apparently, a blood sample of everybody who ever talked about getting our own broadband in our city. What are we going to comply with this, or do you know
I know our attorney, Mark Crimmins, and Ryan Kim have responded to inform him of what it would cost to take the time to go through every email and print all those things or put them on zip drives or whatever. And I think they have to respond to him, and then he can say what he wants or further define his request. So I don't know. It's a legal thing. They'll send letters back and forth.
I almost didn't ask you about that because it's kind of a negative, and I didn't want you to know.
Well, no, I don't think it's necessarily a negative. I mean,
don't either. But
they're gonna inquire about how we came to the point where we are, and the way we got there was we went and asked the voters, "What do you think we ought to do?"
Right.
The voters told us clearly, we think you should explore and look into creating our own broadband.
All right.
Well, I kind of brought us to here.
I kind of
ruined not necessarily. I mean, there's no conspiracy.
No,
there's no room of guys sitting. I know you're not, but if that's what someone thinks they're going to find by getting some emails, there's no vast conspiracy to try to destroy anybody's business or do anything. We went to the voters, asked the voters what they thought we should do. They clearly came back and said, "Hey, you need to look into this." We looked into it. We believe we can provide a really good service at a very competitive cost and improve people's access to broadband internet.
Right.
We're going to try to do it. I mean, I get they want to protect their business and
they want to protect their property.
We want to protect our constituency and provide them with the broadband that they are saying they desperately need.
Well, Chip's a real sharp guy.
He is a very sharp guy. And I've met him years ago when he was in the legislature. I met him down in Des Moines, I think, a couple different times. And he's a nice guy. I don't dislike the guy. He's got a job he's doing, and so do I.
That's right. Well, I didn't know if I should.
You think back to the days of when Democrats and Republicans would sit in a room and solve problems, and I mean, he's got one opinion on this issue, and I have a different, and it is what it is.
I'll tell you, if Nikki Conrad and I can start talking and be friendly, and I really think a lot of Nikki, I think the whole world can just get together and sing Kumbaya.
Sure.
Well, I almost didn't bring that up because you just admonished me for, throwing a big negative story on the I didn't want you to wind up being one of the sitting with a couple of city council guys who were mad at me after 20 years, sitting down in Amigos in a corner booth going, Divide sucks. So I didn't want it to happen, man.
No.
I think our conversations over the years probably have produced good information so people can
I
evaluate.
think so too. I think this is a great dialogue. That's why I continue to come back here.
Well, it's, yeah.
We have fun actually.
Of
And
course.
you know, sometimes it seems like we're being snarky at each other, but we actually are just kind of poking at each other.
Hey, the best way to get people to listen is to mix great information with a little humor.
Yeah.
So-
And we like to think we're funny.
Yeah. Well,
We don't know if you think we're funny at home, but
hey,
Mike and I think we're funny.
we're hilarious. we're just hilarious. You know, we're not going to sit here. Well, here's the lecture for today. You know, Rush Limbaugh used to get into that. God bless his soul. He just lecture.
Yeah.
I could never do it. And then Glenn Beck. God, I'd like to beat the hell out of Glenn Beck. Did you ever want to beat the hell out of somebody who was on TV all the time or on the radio? I've always wanted to beat the hell out of Glenn Beck.
No, not really.
No, really?
I'm not a big fan of the alleged news talk show, you know, the Fox News and the MSNBCs and the CNN, where it's somebody basically, it's opinion based news. I've never been a fan of that. I've never really gotten into like, oh, I'm going to watch this guy or, you know, Hannity or any of them. I've just never gotten into that kind of news in my days.
We're going to have to go. Thanks, man.
All right. You bet.
All right. 5 o'clock, KVFT, Fort Dodge, Iowa.
If you're a gearhead or not, you'll enjoy the Under the Hood Car Show every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD.
More case.